Um, so this week, I'd like to address some of the philosophical underpinnings of what we're doing here before we break into the groups. In particular, it's not always like the challenges with ranking people. It seems to be something that comes up continuously, and ironically enough, it seems like the lower ranks are the harder ones to sort out, because people can generally agree on who did the most, but when it gets really close, there's lots of emotional turmoil. So I want to reiterate that no individual week is guaranteed to be fair. And I want to use an analogy here to describe what's going on. And this is, it's like we're scientists and we're trying to measure something, and our tools for measuring it are not very precise. Right, so we have to take lots and lots of measurements. Each and every one of us is providing a measurement of the relative value of everyone's contributions. Each and every one of us is going to be wrong in our judgment, right? There's only so much resolution we have in our ability to determine, is A more valuable than B? Well, we don't actually know in any single measurement. It takes many, many measurements. So as we've gone through this and looked at, apologize for the dog barking in the background. As we go through this and we look at all the, sorry, that dog is really distracting me and I'm trying to talk here. I'm sorry, guys, my alarm's going off and I've got to deal with that. 1 second.
Kind of alarm.
Just a reminder for the people joining us, there's links in the chat to sign the Fractally Contributor Agreement if you haven't already, and to get a Hive account if you don't have one.
You only need to sign it once, right?
Yeah, just one time with the Hive account that you're using to participate.
There's another Zoom link in it. Is that an old calendar invite?
Yeah, if it was a link, if it was a link where you had to register, that's the one that we were using previously. The links that you want to pay attention to are the ones in the gofractally.com community.
Okay. Yeah, there's some Fractally Genesis consensus meeting, whatever Google Calendar event that was, has a Zoom link in it. I was in that one, and Mike Manfredi just joined me over in that one, and then we realized everybody was still in this one. So anyway.
Yeah, that may have been the previous event that was set up.
Gotcha.
All right, I'm back. Dog is managed and alarm is canceled. Sorry about all the chaos on my side of things this week. So this process is we're trying to measure these contributions so that we can allocate respect and tokens. And the better we are able to allocate this respect, the more valuable the respect becomes, both internally and externally. But we have to accept our limitations, that we're each a flawed instrument in making these measurements. And so in science, if you want to measure something and you've only got so much precision on your instrument, the way you do it is you take multiple measurements and then you average them together. Each time you take a measurement and you average them, the error bars decrease. All right, so why is this relevant? A lot of people have suggested things like doing a coin toss. I suggested at one point before I realized what a mistake it was, or randomly allocating the bottom three. The impact of doing that is effectively abdicating our responsibility to even attempt to take a measurement. And if we're not taking a measurement, we're not getting data. So even if the measurement is faulty or wrong, it's still data that's getting us in the right direction. And as we do this over time, that will tend to become more and more accurate. So what does this mean? No single week is accurate. no single perspective is right. Your perspective, my perspective, someone else's perspective is not right. We are all flawed instruments trying to make this measurement, and we're using a process designed to leverage the wisdom of the crowds to extract the information that is distributed amongst us about who is contributing to the cause. And if we do this right, and we don't take personal offense, and we realize the limits of both our own judgment and the judgment of other people, then we can have some humility on our side and some grace for other people's side. And we can have confidence that over time, we will be judged by the 100 different people will review and judge and make an assessment and make a measurement. And that the group's measurement, in theory, is more accurate in terms of the value to the group than any individual's estimate. And maybe as an individual, you value things differently. We all value things differently, have a different scale. But the process is to identify the phantom group will, if you will, and to allocate tokens according to that. So, don't allow any 1 week to discourage you. Don't allow any 2 weeks to discourage you, or even any 3 weeks. But over time, as you meet with different groups, find out what's valuable to them and ask people, hey, if I did X, would you find that valuable? And then try to do the things that the people in the group value. We are facilitating this. We're suggesting goals and visions, but ultimately it's the people's collective goal. It's our collective will that's going to determine what's valued, and that's going to determine the success of the community. So I just wanted to get that out there to view this from a scientific instrument perspective, to realize that we have to attempt to make a measurement, even if it's faulty, and that randomization is refusing to even take a measurement, which is not providing any value to the group or to the consensus process. So that's my spiel for this week.
Thanks, Dan. We still have a few minutes before we're going to get started here. Does anyone want to add anything?
I guess this is Gregory. I guess, Dan, would it be likened similar to fuzzy logic as used in computer science?
I guess there's an analogy there. Yes, there's no absolute value that is the correct answer, and we're just trying to come to an approximation by integrating a lot of different data. I'm still here. I'll just turn off video momentarily.
Any other questions out there before we end up going to the breakout session?
I just wanted to jump in, I guess, and kind of add my viewpoint as far as some people feeling that being ranked at the bottom sucks. But, I think Dan has brought that this could be a multiplier. So us just being here and collecting this respect, that is of value. So even if you're last, that's going to be a lot more in the future. That's kind of how I view things too. And so I think, also as this expands, then the lower part, I don't think is going to be as hurtful to people. So I think we also have to take that into consideration when we're feeling a little emotional about being ranked last.
Yes, that's a very good perspective. Keep in mind that you're here, which ranks you far ahead of everyone who's not here. So you're far from last. This is all a group of overachievers, and I appreciate each and every one of you.
I got a perspective about this that might be useful to other people. I've been using these voting sessions as a way to notice when my ego is kind of running wild in a negative, not really like a self-serving pump myself up ego way, but like a fearful, protective way. And it's a really useful skill for me in business and and in relationships where I notice that I'm protecting something that doesn't need to be protected. And I have values in this conversation that I'm ignoring while I'm protecting my own ego. And I have commitments here. And so I'm using this as an exercise to say, well, let's just assume a priori with no evidence that my commitment is that this project wins. So if that's the case, then would I be paying attention to whether I get more credit or whether the project gets more benefit? And then can I suppress my ego just a little bit and have a different conversation called, if I'm committed to this project and I want to be fairly rewarded and I want other people who are contributing to be fairly rewarded, then I need to shut up this conversation in my head about how much credit I'm getting and look for who deserves it here. And just assume that, I'm going to get credited fairly because I'm doing my best to credit other people fairly.
Very beautifully said. This is all about creating collaborative value. I don't know if I stated this or if Joshua stated this in the pre-meeting, but that's the why that we're here. We're all here to produce collaborative value, the value that cannot be realized by any individual's contribution on their own, but can only be realized by all of us coming together. And when we focus on maximizing the size of the pie rather than maximizing our slice of the pie, that is when we all benefit the most. And so attempting to be as objective as possible on identifying who's contributing the most to the cause, who's contributing the most to grow the value of the pie, then whatever slice of the pie you get will be more valuable than having a big slice of a small pie. So it's very well said.
Also, big shout out to Gregory and Joshua. They're providing these reports. So since they've been providing these reports every week, when I go in these breakout sessions, I have Adobe. I'll pull it up and then I'll highlight everyone in my room, and then I'll send that a screenshot of that into the chat, and then we can use that as a measurement also of like how we are all collectively ranked, and then that can also help with assessing how we're going to rank for the week that we're doing it.
Where's that spreadsheet posted?
Go fractally.com. Let me see if I can drop a link. We're about to go into breakout rooms in less than a minute. Thanks, Felix. That sounds pretty cool.
You have the link to the Hive post in the chat?
I do, and I'll post it one more time. All right, so here's the link for the most recent snapshot. And here is the link for the post that we're using today.
And please upvote the post to make sure that Josh gets as much Hive credit as possible.
Just don't let the trolls know yet. We didn't have any problem last week, surprisingly, with trolls, which I suspected that we might. So it'll be interesting if that becomes a problem with manually tallying or doing the scripts. All right, I think we're ready to go into our breakout rooms. We're going to have 7 rooms of 5 to 6 people. We've posted the questions you're going to be answering. It's also on, I guess I'll post one more thing real quick. The agenda contains information that you need for the meeting that we're conducting today. There's a Google Doc link there. Other than that, have a really good time, and we'll see you in about 45 minutes. Or is that right? Yeah, 45 minutes. Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Hello. Looks like we're 5, maybe. We'll wait for a while, maybe. I had a bit slow entry last meeting, actually, so I came halfway through the first intro because so maybe just give it a half a minute or so. All right, Josh. We should have been quicker.
Hey, everyone.
Josh is well smoothed into now voice-wise. Maybe he leads.
I'm just gonna repost the questions here in the chat for us to reference. Would anyone like to keep score today of the? We just need one person to keep track. I'm happy to do it.
Thank you.
And who would like to go first? We have about 25 minutes or so to just kind of go around and answer these questions.
I'd like to go first because mine will be short and sweet. I'd like to be ranked first or last or least respect because I feel I haven't really done much. I'm really excited about Fractally and just trying to learn more about it and participate any way I can. My main motivation for being here is because there's just so much going on in the whole EOS community and the Pomelo grants and everything. And I've been sort of taken out of attention from this because of personal matters. So in terms of who I've invited to Fractally, I've actually been talking to a few people for a long time about Fractally. And one of them I know, Samara Shah, who we had this dialogue months ago, I'm not even sure if she's in the meeting or not, but I never even considered like inviting her or her inviting me or any of that, because I'm just more happy to be participating in this process and just learning about it as it's so early on. One of the things I've been working on, and I could share a link, is actually I do some web promotions and marketing and some WordPress background. And there's something called IceCast. I don't know if you ever heard of Shoutcast or IceCast, but it's a sort of internet radio streaming thing. And I wanted to put together a 24-hour EOS station that basically highlights all the audio from different YouTube things. So I actually slapped together, without anyone's permission, IceCast station that's just playing, but I was planning on attaching it to this website that I'm trying to hurriedly rush for a Pomelo grant because I hadn't really had time to focus on it. So I sort of fell out of what's going on with Fractally. So I said, you know what? I don't really care. I'm just going to join the meeting. So sorry if that's over 3 minutes, but that's pretty much me in a nutshell.
But the woman that you invited is attending the meeting today.
Well, I don't know if she is because she commented on the chat, but I don't know if she like disappeared or I'm not even sure. So
Okay.
anyways, yeah, Tamara and we've talked a lot and we have an common interest with Brandon Lovejoy and some fractal governance through native indigenous populations. And so that's sort of our. Well, there was a couple people I've been trying to get on the Discord and then the fireside chats. Eric Whitcomb is one of them. And he's someone else that over time, I think he wants to get more involved. He's actually started studying smart contract development because of my sort of pushing him into all these different directions. But that's all long. See, I'm not worried about any of that stuff because I see it all long term. I'm just trying to figure out what's going on and how I can provide value versus worrying about what I'm doing right now.
Yeah, well, she's here. She's in room 6 with Dan right now.
Oh, so sweet. That's awesome.
So that's awesome. Yeah, thanks, Doug. That's great. Who would like to follow Doug there, or any questions for Doug before we move on?
Yeah, I think you should. Absolutely. I appreciate that you do record it because I think the thing is, you can't always just go back in time and get the sound bites, remember, what was said, and having that recording is something that I think, that has a lot of value in the future, just for review or post-production use, just to show the evolving of the process too.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys can record. I think for next week, I need to figure out how to make sure that's enabled for you. But yeah, if every session is recorded and all that stuff gets uploaded in one place, that's more opportunity for people to contribute value if they want to work with that footage.
Well, but OBS, for some people like myself, OBS presents more of a resource overhead that I can't even join the session because it puts too much demand on my, credit system. So Zoom is nice because I've actually set it up to separate the audio soundtracks so I could, remix it or, make it a little easier to handle. But anyways, yeah, I love the thing about recording. I mean, there's so much material that's going on in the EOS community that gets lost. It's just like continually being produced. I'm just trying to like figure out. I want to start pulling out all the highlights, more and getting more of a voice to people who have a legitimate questions or ideas that don't really get their ideas or circulated.
So last week, unfortunately, you weren't able to participate, so you didn't get a rank for last week. But the week before that, you were ranked number 2, according to I think you're according to the records. Does that sound right to you, Doug?
I guess I don't even know really what it means. I don't really care. Like,
okay,
because the way I look at it is like, it's just a complex thing going on that's evolving, and if every person that interacts with it has to understand it, I'm like a hacking the system of like, I was told that all I have to do is come and have fun, like, that's the primary thing, and all this rank stuff to me right now is irrelevant. Like, I would rather be underrated and undervalued than given more, because I like haven't even really begun to try to create value, because I'm just trying to figure out what's going on and like where I can place myself at.
Yeah, well, that's awesome. Let's move on to Dan.
Sure. Oh, can you hear me now? Okay. Yeah, my mic needs to like catch up. I have this weird thing going on with my mic. Is that better? Getting better. Just gonna check the volume really quick on here. Turn it up a little bit or something. There we go. Yeah, it's probably better, right? Right there. Yeah, so Dwayne was telling me about this awesome new way to govern last week, and he invited me to this. And I'm here taking it all in. This is my first time. And I'm in discovery mode, much like Doug. I haven't contributed anything besides showing up today. And so I think I should be ranked last because I just got here. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say. I'm taking it all in right now, and I'm shooting for last place, and I think I should win last place because I just arrived. So sorry, Dan.
Do you have a Hive account, James?
I do. Yeah, I set it all up. I get a Hive account. I read through the agreement. I agreed to it, and I'm ready to go. I think, unless I
That's
miss
great.
something.
Yeah, perfect. I guess one thing we should have done in the beginning is just if everyone wants to enter their Hive account, because not everyone has it in their name. That way we, I guess I have to copy and paste that and put together our order as we come to consensus here in a little bit. So if you could just enter your username in the chat there, please, and thank you and welcome. Awesome to have you here. Did you get a chance to read the white paper?
I've been pretty busy. I haven't really had a chance to read the white paper yet.
Yeah, no worries. Just wondering. It adds a lot of context to what we're doing.
Yeah, no, I assume it does. Yeah, I will get on that. It's I really just like knew this existed like last Wednesday, I think, and just haven't been able to catch up with everything that I'm behind on yet.
Yeah, well, thanks for being here, and shout out to Dwayne. You said it was that invited you.
Yeah, Dwayne Philippi.
That's awesome.
Hey, welcome, man. Glad to have you here.
Yeah, thank you. Very nice to meet everyone.
Hello, I'm Lukas Mantinger. I'm in the Eden community since the beginning, since start. I'm also Eden member. And last week I started tried first time fractally. I was ranked 3 last week for the translation into German of More Equal Animals. I started this project, I think in August last year. I saw I'm not able, my English was not so good, but I had a good friend which helped me out. The book is ready in the meantime. The goal is to make this the principles why we test this new government structures, making accessible to the German community. There are about 100 million speakers in Germany. And yeah, the book is ready in the meantime. It's downloadable. It's also a grant on Pumelo. And since now I could invite one friend, but I'm sure I can invite the other guy which helped me with the translation to Fractally too. He's already Eden member. And yeah, that's from my side. Yeah, with Hive, I made an account last week. Hive account, I also agreed. I posted the results of last week, but now I'm in holiday and I can't post the results since I'm at home. I have the key at home because I don't have the laptop here. So I can post the results in 3 weeks. I don't know if it's valid. Yeah, that's from my part.
I had the same problem, sort of. If you want, I gave access to Jesse of the EOSBs to my AI language translation software. It does 20,000 words a go, and it will do German if you want access to it. If you want to make an audio version.
Yeah, an audio version is planned. Depends on how much funding we get.
Well, I'll give you my login if you want, and you can play with the software if it helps you. You're more than welcome.
What is this? What is this software? Does it text translation or audio?
Well, it has a number of things, but there's a world translation plugin that allows me to convert text from one language to 26 other languages. But it will take any language and assign a number of different kinds of voices, accents, ages, genders, and some of them have AI. Like it does the inflection and reads the context. It does a pretty good job of putting it words.
That sounds interesting. Is this your Telegram nick as well, Doug Wu?
I think I'm Douglas Wu on Telegram.
Okay.
Well, actually, no, I can't remember. There's a username that's different than what appears. I can't remember what it is.
All right. Post it in the chat.
We'll talk about that later. We don't have to talk about that.
Okay.
I could go first. I'm short and sweet. Hang on, I'll post it. I was a good boy. I put it in text also, because basically I'm offline most of the time, every day, Monday to Friday. I mentioned this to a few of you already. I'm tied up in a contract for another 2 months. That takes all my time. So fractally, I've only done small bits and pieces, nothing particularly. Just sending on various shares and doing some comments and trying to spread awareness a little bit. No direct invites. And last time on a kind of a voluntary basis when I was ranked number 1, the lowest input, so to say, the effort. It seems like we're fighting for the low one this week again. We'll see how that goes. And in general, what I do, I spend the time I have free. I do free mainly Eden. And I do the recaps, weekly recaps from the Eden member group and similar things, and read everything Eden and EOS. That's my primary one. And then I still get to catch up on Fractally, but not actively pushing awareness or nor memberships or invites. Okay, that's about it. I don't have much more. And you got my Hive on top as well.
Yeah, thank you, Lenny. Thanks for posting the. I need to get on the ball like you to have my list ready. I'm not doing very good at posting.
Hey, you
things.
busy boy, aren't you? Sorry for calling you boy.
Yeah, no offense. The
Inside here, but the joints are telling me differently every day.
Yeah, well, I hope you live forever. Lucas, I don't know if you mentioned this, but last week it looks like you were ranked number 5 in your group.
Number 5 or number 3?
Yeah, it looks on my record it says number 5. I guess I would need to go to the Hive post to confirm.
Lenny was with us, no? Lenny,
don't
maybe
put
he
me
remembers.
on the spot now. Don't put me on the spot now.
But I think
honestly
the
not
French.
100%. I'm not 100% sure, but we can easily check that and give you a message later. Don't want to fiddle around too much on my computer now.
Yeah. So number 5 would be the lowest, right?
No. From the top 3, from the top. 6 is the highest, 1 is the lowest.
No, I think I was 3.
Oh, I'm looking at the wrong thing. Okay, well, if you recall 3.
Yeah. There was the French guy before me on the first.
By the way, I have it actually in front of me now. I'm pretty sure. You Sagamathan P, Lucas?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, you let's see here now. 1, 2, well, 6, 5. Yeah, 3. You were 3 according to my notes.
Yep. Yeah, that's what I have. I was looking at the wrong thing. Okay. Okay, I'm Josh, and let's see, in the past week or so, I'm not very good at this part. I've manually entered all of the respect from every week so far. So I did that again last week. And I created the community, the online community, gofractally.com, that we're using to kind of congregate and give, like, it kind of provides more opportunity for more people to create value, and hopefully over time it'll make it easier to onboard people, to learn about Fractally. We're facilitating some things in that group. Like, one of the things that's going on is there's a weekly meeting for the EOS Network DAO, which is basically people who are interested in moving the EOS network in the direction of fractal governance. So the community is starting to kind of facilitate potential future fractals, and that's probably the main one right now that has the most interest besides this Genesis fractal. I also, it's a small contribution, but I decided to, like, let's create a leaderboard. So this week I added a post that I'll update every week on whatever the top 10 is, based on either rank or based on respect, and it actually changes. They're not exactly the same, which seems counterintuitive. That's interesting to just see, except for Dan Singjoy has the same rank on both of the leaderboards, which is cool. The consistency there. What else? Oh, I went through the recording last week, and which we also posted to the community, and I got all of the talking points from Dan to update the slide presentation for the pre-meeting today. I hosted the pre-meeting, and I'm hosting and moderating this meeting. I made the post to the Hive blog site that we're going to use today for consensus. So I'm kind of a cog in the wheel right now. I don't know if this will function if I get hit by a bus next week. So somebody's going to have to step up and do this if that happens. I sent out some notifications about the event 3 hours ahead of time this morning, about the pre-meeting and then the actual meeting. And that's pretty much it. I didn't specifically invite anyone new. I'm talking to some people behind the scenes, but nobody that I've invited, recently has joined the meeting today. And last week I was also ranked 5. So that's it. That's as far as I'm going with my spiel. Let's go to Dan, and then we can, after that, we'll move toward consensus. Yeah, it's looking good. Oh yeah, a little bit. Didn't even notice that. Last week, how did you rank? Okay.
Hard to keep up with you, Dan, but I'm loving all the stuff you're pumping out. I don't know how you do it. I think I caught your hot sauce 143, or I don't even remember, but it was, I think it might have been my first full hot sauce that I actually, I mean, I kept hearing about it, but didn't even really get a chance to look at any with any substance till this last one. I really enjoyed it though.
All right. Well, we've got between like less than 20 minutes, but a little more than 15 to come to consensus. I posted the process based on the meeting agenda. What we're going to do is we're going to identify who contributed the most relative to their past recognition. And we have 6 in the room. So we're looking for 4 out of 6 consensus on that. And that member will get the highest rank this week of 6. And then we'll use the same process to find the second best, who will get the rank of 5, which is kind of counterintuitive and confusing, but that's how we're doing things. And we're just going to repeat that until we've ranked everybody. Based on, so the main question is, what have you done to build the technology, raise awareness, and grow adoption of fractal governance, as outlined in the Fractally white paper, and inviting people to participate? And then, keeping in mind, how did people rank last week? Because maybe they, maybe got in a room with a lot of people who were ranking a lot higher, and really, you should be earning more respect than that. So does anyone want to suggest themselves or somebody else who maybe contributed the most value this week?
For me, it's hard to distinguish between you and Dan. Of course, Dan had the presentation. Looks more, but what you exactly did, it's hard to estimate.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of introducing new people, I think what Dan's doing on the hot sauce there, maybe people in EOS are hearing it enough, and maybe they'll, over time they'll take an interest, at least a few people. Also, when something like that happens, the hot sauce gets promoted, as well. So it's not, people maybe don't even have to just tune into they don't have to necessarily just watch the video for it to be kind of raising awareness to some degree, depending on how that's going. I mean, Doug invited somebody who's actually attending today, the actual meeting, like not just the community. So even though he was trying to be at the bottom there, I kind of feel like that was pretty valuable. You increased the number of participants today, Doug.
Well, the thing is I don't know if she encouraged me or I encouraged her, but we've just been talking about this for months. And so I'm the one who's like leading the charge into Discord and Telegram and reporting back to everybody else. And so I've been trying to drag her in, but she had already had interest in it before. It's like she was someone I met that already had interest in it and awareness. And I didn't even know anything about EOS till like January this year.
That's super cool.
But you know what? I want to say something just in the expediency of time, because I've sort of thought about this. I feel as though I'm just going to go ahead and issue my ranking order from highest to lowest, just because I want to just start a dialogue going. And I'm going to put Dan at 6, Lucas at 5, Joshua at 4, Lenny at 3, me at 2, and James at 1. And my logic is that Dan did a tremendous amount of work and does continually pump out a lot of work, but it's sort of like a lot of what he's doing is innovative and opening doorways that, if he keeps going with where he's going, I think there's a lot of seeds being sown there and a lot of exciting stuff. I really like the fact that Lucas took the initiative to translate into German the white paper. And again, that's like a big doorway opening. Or what's that?
No, not the white paper, the book, more
Oh, the book. Excuse me. I'm sorry. Thank you. The book. And I'm really interested in all this language translation and opening up, you know, these ideas to an international base of people, because if we don't do that, we're going to be seen as biased in favoring whatever, you know. And so I think what we're talking about with this rank is what did we do recently, right, since the last meeting or something. So that's something recent. Unfortunately, Joshua, you know, I think your role is critical and essential, but it's sort of like something I expect there to be as part of the infrastructure of doing this. And if we have to thank you, you know, rank you highly every week for what you're doing, it seems sort of counterintuitive to me to reward something that sort of discourages the innovative, proactive kind of efforts that people are taking. But I don't want to lessen your contribution either. But then I'm questioning, like, well, if Gregory Wexler is part of Team Fractally, is he part of Clarion? Are you? Was there compensation involved other than you're just doing this? And see, I'm not clear about that. Maybe you discussed that, but I'm just sort of seeing like you and Gregory and Dan Larimer. If it wasn't for the three of you, there would be no Fractally. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's a good point. I kind of feel the same way as you. I'm loosely affiliated with the Fractally team, but I'm not being compensated. I'm just doing things as a labor of love. I'm not really sure what Gregory or others are being
But see, I'm saying
compensated for.
For all of us having clarity of that understanding is important. You know what I'm saying? Because it'd be a different thing to where if you were just salaried or paid hourly to do something, which, you know, could be structured that way, but isn't, you know, and this whole thing of people just rising to the occasion to do whatever in a decentralized manner. I mean, to me, there's a certain kind of logic to it, but there's a certain kind of madness to it, you know, and it's sort of like, we're trying to figure out what's the most efficient use of resources here too, you know, is the way I'm looking at it.
Yeah, it's a good question. I'm gonna post what this is not really the suggested way to come to consensus, but some people have used this method. I'm gonna post the order that is this what you had suggested? Just
Again, I think,
verify
yeah, I
it.
think so. I guess so. Yeah, that looks right.
Does it?
I mean, I don't know. That's what happened in the other meeting that I was in. That's sort of what got it started. And so I was like, I don't know if it's the right way or the wrong way, but
yeah, the suggested method is to just do one at a time and come to consensus. We have kind of done this in the past and it can work, but in terms of keeping to the experiment, the idea would be to come to, so we could use this as a guiding list. Does anyone?
Okay. I'm sorry if I did it out of.
Yeah, it's okay. No worries. Let's use this as a guideline. So does anyone have any objections to nominating Dan to be the highest contributor this week? Okay, let's do a raise of hands. Who would like to vote for Dan?
I guess that's suggested. So
all right, that's unanimous. And what next on the list we have Lucas. Is there any objections to Lucas as the second highest contributor this week?
I actually agree with that. Yeah, I would agree with that.
Well, I would nominate Lucas because, you know, I've already been earning respect and, you know, relative to his work that he's done, you know, I don't think he has enough respect yet for that.
Right.
So,
okay. That makes sense.
If I can add, I was in the same room as Lucas last week, and it was a fierce battle, not a battle, a friendly one, between him and I don't remember who the other guy was, but it was really between who gets above or, and everyone. In the end, Lucas kind of lost that battle, so I feel he didn't get compensated really as much as he should. And because I actually naturally would have felt for Dan and Joshua with the inputs this particular week, but I don't think Lucas have been recognized enough yet for what he did, and therefore I'm with him being number 5 today. And then Joshua as the next one down. That's my opinion on these.
Let's take a vote for Lucas in the rank of 5 today. Okay. And myself as the rank of 4. Do you have anyone want to switch that around? Okay, let's take a vote for the rank of 4 for me. And Lenny is next on the list. Do you accept this nomination, Lenny?
Well, I would be stupid not to. No, I do a lot of other stuff similar, but listening to the others. But then same time, Doug, I gotta say, he is everywhere. You know, I see him around everywhere. He's doing more work than I've done this week. So I'm not quite comfortable. I would rather put Doug up one step here. But I leave that to Doug. He was the one pushing for bottom, but I succeeded last time. And, you know, but
Well-
I feel Doug is more deserving.
Well, you know, I guess part of the issue is that like I'm still new to the ecosystem and I don't really care what anyone thinks, but I'm going to share posts and comment and reply and respond just because I'm trying to stimulate algorithms in my newsfeed and whatever. And I've seen your name a lot and I still haven't figured out exactly everything about what contribution you've done, but I know it's happened over a long period of time. And it's something to where I feel I'm still being like the new guy. I want to respect my elders. I'm still trying to feel out, you know, like the whole thing. And so, but I just have fun doing it, you know, and I have a lot more stuff planned. And so I'm not really worried about it either which way, you know, I don't really care.
But looking at the past 7 days, I mean, gradually we're going to move into just have a 1 week reference backward. And this past week, you've probably done 10 to 15 times more than I've done when it comes to posting and sharing. That's got to be quite of value. But anyway, I'll leave it. I'll be quiet now.
No.
The rest of you guys decide. So who is with me to have Doug above me?
Should we take a vote? Go
Yeah,
ahead. Dan.
Votes in favor of Doug. Votes in favor of Doug.
We need a flip. We need a flip of coin function for such cases.
So let's put it to James. What do you think? If you dare try your mic.
Yeah, I'm really, really fresh and I really have no idea. You both sound like you did a lot. Yeah, it's like
Gut
there
feeling.
is randomness when you need it.
Gut feeling.
If I was going to go with gut feeling, I'd like to go with new because I feel like there's a lot to contribute with new, and you know, new has new perspective and not always recognized. And with new perspective, there's new exposure. I might go with the new guy.
I think we have at least a super majority for Doug then. What Lucas say?
Okay,
I go with the hurt then.
Well, I will actually reiterate one of the 3 things was who have you invited? And if you go by that sort of criterion as being a major influencer, Anne assigned Samara as me inviting her. I'm not sure if she invited me and then I got more into it and then re-invited her back. But, we are sort of like, we keep in close communication over fractally and developments where I try to fill her in. So if you want to give me credit for that, that I guess might out edge Lenny, I will admit. I mean, I'll be objective. I don't really care either which way.
Okay. I'll see you posted, Joshua.
All right, I think this is our consensus. So if you guys want to check in the chat, I'm gonna do it in the way that I think that we're moving, so that it creates a link on Hive when we tag someone's username. So we've got Dan Singjoy, we've got Lucas Mantinger, and we've got myself. We've got Doug Wu. We've got Lenny Neat. Is that how you say it, Lenny?
Yeah, neat.
Neat. And we've got James B. And you're still earning some tokens, James. Hopefully it'll grow into like the equivalent of like $100 US. So just for being here is actually really valuable, and you deserve that $100 when the tokens are liquid. Hopefully it'll be that value. Maybe not immediately when they're liquid, but you're earning real tokens that are going to have real value on the market.
I had no idea. That's pretty cool.
That's true. That's true. If you read the agreement.
I'm not giving any advice.
But the architect has at least a 3-time history, or maybe 4-time history of being able to create things that have value. All right, I'm going to close the breakout rooms. If you guys want, you can copy that in the chat, and that's what we're going to post to the thing. So I'm closing the rooms. You should still have access to your chat. Thanks, Dan. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks a lot,
That was
everyone.
fun.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks. See you.
55 seconds, yeah.
All right, thanks.
Recording in progress.
So many things, so many concepts. So I will try to do now. It's just something I will want to do. It's some drawings or something like that. Try to explain those concepts in a very easy way, because I feel like it's really important to have those kind of easy things to. If you have someone we want to explain the concept, we have to explain in a very simple terms. And so far, I feel it's not enough what we have. It's just my opinion. I will try to work on that too, but I want to give that feedback here. I feel like I need to have some very simple condensed page, or I don't know, infographic, something like that explain the major concept to start the conversation, and then from there try to guide them to more equal animals. Was what I did. I was that time was hard for me to bring them here and explain all what is happening here in one sentence or something like that. So what I did was, guys, we have a more equal animal. You have here the book on YouTube. You can try to listen to it, try to get familiar with those concepts, and maybe if you're ready, if you really want, I can introduce you to the groups and try for you to release you here. But at the moment, I feel it's just my observation. It's not in a bad in a negative way. Just it's what I felt like. I feel like I need to have something very easy to explain to them concepts like anti-fragility, rational ignorance, all the concepts that we find independence, all that stuff in a very small, condensed way. I know it's hard. It's very hard to do that. I know, but I feel like we must go in that direction to bring on board as much people as we can. It's just, I think.
Hey guys, yeah, thank you so much. Sorry to interrupt. I've actually got to go here in just 1 minute. I want to take a time to thank everyone for participating today, and I want to point out something that came up in my group. There was one person who has been making contributions, but doesn't have a Hive account yet. I think starting next week, I propose that anyone who doesn't have a Hive account is automatically ranked lowest, because we had one person who we decided to rank, even though they had a Hive account, they were ranked lowest this week. But if someone has gone through the process to get a Hive account and someone else hasn't, they've automatically, just by virtue of having the Hive account, contributed more to helping the community reach consensus. So I'd like to add that as a hard requirement. We still allow people to participate, particularly if they're new and it's their first couple times, but they're going to be ranked lower than anyone who has gone through the process and reached a Hive account. That's my proposal. And other than that, I want to just thank everyone so much for another great week and for all you've done to promote the concepts of fractal governance, more equal animals, independence, true democracy. We are truly pioneers, and every single person, just by virtue of being here, is making a huge contribution to the world and future generations. You've done infinitely more than everyone who's not here. So thank you so much for showing up every week. Oh, and one last thing. Next week is the Eden election on April 9th. I would encourage anyone who wants to help experiment with fractal governance on EOS to join Eden on EOS, participate in that next week. Any work there, I would strongly recommend this group value. In the subsequent week, you can report in how you did on those elections, what you learned by using the software there on the EOS network, and so forth. So please consider trying to be a part of Eden on EOS to help bring fractal governance to EOS. But because so much overlap between this group and that group, I'd recommend that we all just join that election process next week and then come back here. So thank you so much. I can't say enough.
Thanks, Dan.
Thanks, Dan.
Thanks, Dan.
Thanks, Dan. Thank you.
All right, well, we don't have a default MC beyond Dan. So if you want to hang out and chat, go ahead. Otherwise, Joshua, do you want to say anything to wrap up?
So we have to leave, right?
Or set up the next meeting?
Yeah, if anybody wants to share any of their insights. Can you hear me, Mike?
We have some questions that are currently going on in the chat that might be a good place to start about whether it's at Hive or at the username.
So the meeting guidelines and the presentation have a specific order that we've been using, and we're moving toward the direction of just at the username. So if you use any of those, it'll be fine. So some people may still have an EOS account, so there may be some that are at EOS. There was at least one of those last week. I think next week we'll put out a notice this week before the next week meeting that we're gonna start to change and we'll update the meeting guideline and stuff too, so that we're just tagging the person in the post. It kind of simplifies things, I think. So either way works.
So if you look at the tally sheet from last week, if you notice in parentheses the word NS after your name, that means we don't have the signature on file or we haven't found it yet. If you signed it, send us a note, let us know. And if it says EOS in parentheses, we don't have your Hive account information. So share it with us or create one on Hive and then share it with us so we can make sure that the tally sheet is up to date.
Does anyone want to share any insights or feedback about their experience?
I have a little bit of a kind of a question, like looking for some recommendations. So I've heard a couple different things and I'm not quite sure. This is my first meeting. It went really well. I loved all the people in my group. So thanks everybody for making it a good first experience. But I think the one thing that kind of I'm confused about is if someone contributes something that's still kind of a work in progress and it's not really understood clearly by myself, maybe I'm not technical enough, whatever it might be. Let's just say I'm the average Joe Blow who's just a part of the group but can't understand technical things. I can't really see how how it actually impacted fractally. It's completely fine. I guess a yes or no question of it's completely fine for me, like not to vote for that and rank that. Is that right? Like you don't necessarily, I don't have to like just go with the group, right? Because there is the, there is like the 2/3 or whatever voting. Is that right?
Yeah. So the goal is to reach 2/3, and you don't have to be part of that 2/3, but you will be measured as part of your value to the community over time. That you do generally come to consensus with the community, right? That's going to reflect your value alignment with the community. As for not understanding a technical contribution as just an example, or vice versa, being technical, not understanding a marketing contribution or some kind of comms, contribution, that's part of the error. That's part of the humility. Like there's going to be times when we know that our vote is ignorant, to use a particular word. We just don't know. And over time, again, averaged over time, there'll be plenty of weeks where your vote was solid, and there'll be other times when you're like, I have no idea. And you'll either make a vote you don't have confidence in, or you'll make a vote by other people who you have confidence in. This is a noisy process. That's just how it is, and it'll average over time.
And I believe what Dan
can I add
said,
something to that?
or yeah, go ahead. I'll go after.
I had a similar issue thanks Douglas. I had a similar issue in my room, and what I did was I happened to have the benefit of somebody more technically competent in the fractally technology in my room, somebody named Dan. And so I checked in with him. I'm like, person A, would you tell Dan what you did? And then I'll listen to Dan's response of what kind of contribution that made this week.
Yeah, proxying.
Now, in a way, it's not my opinion, but it's more educated than my opinion would have been, hearing somebody else's opinion who actually has the background information. So I didn't abdicate my vote to Dan. I wasn't telling Dan to tell me how to vote. I was telling Dan to tell me his opinion of that person's contribution and the value of it. And then I got to make my decision between the two people I was trying to decide between, this person or that person, based on what I knew about the first person's contribution, because I was able to understand that, and based on what my opinion of was Dan's opinion of this other person's contribution.
Got it.
And I believe what Dan said, it was last meeting or the meeting before, because I was sort of hammering this point as well. He said, you value what you value. Like if you don't understand something, then how can you value it? You can maybe get an indicator based on somebody else's understanding that it's valuable, and that can cause you to understand that contribution is valuable. But if you don't understand it's valuable, you should definitely not be voting it's valuable. This is, part of this consensus mechanism is actually determining the consensus mechanism. And it's something that I've sort of been bringing up again and again, because I believe that there are models that each person can, you can have respect the individual's opinion as well as the group. But for where we are right now, based on what Dan said, it's about what each individual member values. And then I believe that we can communicate why we value that to other members. And, that's how we can form the consensus.
All right, we'll need an official MC. So Joshua, do you want to be the MC, or do you want me or Gregory?
Sure. Yeah, well, whatever you guys want to do. I see Jesse's kind of next up on the list here with his hand up.
Cool.
Thanks, Joshua. I just want to take this opportunity to invite everyone here to a project that Patrick and I started called Brainstorming Fractally on EOS. So we're a group of people that are interested in thinking of ways to propose to build fractally on EOS. And we meet every Monday. Next Monday is 1900 UTC, and we alternate times to 1400 UTC. So next Monday is 1900, the Monday after 1400, the Monday after that 1900, 1400. And just a quick overview is you submit a proposal for one of the 4 categories, and we'll share the link just in a second of the mind map. And if your proposal gets voted by 2/3 plus 1 of the participants across both time zones in a 2-week period, you'll get an EOS reward. I'm putting up from the Bees Treasury 100 EOS a week to reward those proposals that get passed with 2/3 plus 1 vote. And I think this is a very passionate issue for myself. I'm very interested in seeing fractally on EOS. This is the beginning of our EOS fractal. These are the guys most interested in building fractally on EOS. So please join if you're interested.
Yeah, thanks, Jesse. So in the gofractally.com online community, there's different groups in the group section, and the one that has the most number of people and starting to get some action happening is the EOS Network DAO, which is hopefully a future fractal in whatever way that manifests. And thank you guys for organizing that and moving forward. And also that there's a lot of Eden members. So Dan was talking about Eden, and just one more reminder that there's an election coming up on April 9th. So if you hurry up and get inducted into Eden, then you can participate in that election, which is then a contribution to fractal governance when you come back to the meeting the following week. And it's should hopefully have some weight. So that's one easy way to kind of earn more respect. Let's go to Gokul, I think is how we pronounce your name. You can unmute yourself.
Yeah, that's correct. I had one observation from today's meeting. Most of the time goes in people presenting whatever they've done. And towards the end, as the time reduces, right, most of the people are in a hurry to reach a consensus. And the evaluation part kind of like the effort put in that goes down. So should we do something to like we dedicate some part of the time, at least the last few minutes where that process happens, and how can we make it easier for everybody? Because I see that defeats the whole purpose, because the last 5 to 10 minutes, I felt that it was like mostly people wanted to make sure that there is consensus so that they don't lose the respect. So the effort to evaluate others' contribution also didn't, it was not genuine is what I felt.
If I can test my understanding, when you went through the consensus process, did you first ask the question, who would you place at rank 6, and then allowed everyone to communicate? And then once that was defined, who would you rank 5, and then let everyone chat? That process seems to work very well. You're muted. Gokul, you're muted.
You got to unmute yourself, Gokul.
Okay, yeah, I didn't have the permission to unmute myself. That was the issue. Okay, so we did follow that process, but the problem was that there were some differences, and there was not enough time to basically validate things or like counter each other's opinion. So I would say that like once the introduction round is done, it was too less of a time to even like take make an effort to evaluate like who had performed better. So I personally felt that I didn't do justice in selecting the top 3 people. So just wanted to know, how do you guys generally sort that out?
Yeah, I guess there's the part of like, how much time do you have to communicate before you start the consensus process? The suggestion is that you save the last 20 minutes of the breakout room to solve for that, and 20 minutes should probably be enough, but definitely there's a tendency for people to talk too much. So maybe if we like literally had timers and you only have like 3 minutes to communicate what you're going to communicate, and if you want to communicate more, you should like put that in the chat or something. The group would have to self-police that, because we don't have any way to actually restrict it other than that. But maybe just setting a rule right in the beginning where you only have this amount of time, and you actually start a timer, and then you let a person know like, okay, your time is up, and then you go to the next person. James, you can unmute yourself.
Hey, can you guys hear me?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, we got you.
Okay, sweet. I just wanted to also add that it will get a little easier when there's like a UI that's native to Fractally, right? We can define a UI that has timers counting down and whatever. So right now it's very ad hoc. It's very, we have to, if you want to have a timer and be a little more rigid about it, then that might be a good idea. It's something you can do on your own. And in the future, we may have better tooling to facilitate that.
That's pretty exciting. I guess it's also worth noting that you guys participating in this process and giving your feedback and stuff is helping, with probably create a better product, a better MVP. So that's part of why just showing up should be considered really valuable.
I like the feedback so far. I'll point out on page 21 of the white paper, something we're not doing yet. I'd like to see it incorporated when we can, is the peer review process. And that's how we sort of give, we've already reached consensus, and then we give feedback to one another on how we performed. Like some of us are talkers, some of us don't talk enough, right? But getting that critical feedback on how to sort of, help us for the next week when we perform. So I know that'll be a part of the Fractally app at some point. I don't know how we would incorporate it into this ad hoc process, but maybe we can all think about how we might do that. I'd sure like to see the peer review feedback starting to be worked into our weekly consensus meetings.
Yeah, thanks for mentioning that, Matt. And just unmute yourself one more time. You said that was page 26 of the white paper?
Page 21.
21, okay. Thank you. All right, Douglas.
Hey guys, yeah, about this, I think that this is something that's been sort of coming up again and again, and something was mentioned last week about if we can have a way that we can quickly review what they've done, their contributions, as well as how they've been rewarded in past weeks and what contributions they've reported in the past weeks, which is like just a couple lists of information. It should be a lot better, and I'm looking forward to the UI. And I'm just sort of popping in to sort of hammer home these ideas again and again, that it is pretty easy to get all the information you need, put it into a format, and then I trust that there will be a great UI to display it. And also, if anyone wants to help with that, I've made a repo under the EOS community / MetaEden repo. And you can there's a format there to write a proposal, and we focus on actionable steps to make things happen. And yeah, like I haven't found another way to sort of like put up formal proposals, but if you're somebody who not only wants to realize these problems, but sort of work through them, I encourage you to jump in there. I would love to collaborate with you and open issues and comments or whatever on your ideas. So yeah,
Yeah, thanks, Douglas. You, if you didn't, maybe you want to drop, you did drop the link to that. Cool, thanks. All right, we'll go to David, and then for some reason, Patrick's having trouble raising his hand, so we'll go to Patrick after David.
Thanks. So I want to share some thoughts. So this was my first meeting, and I just had some thoughts while we went through the process. So we went through the voting, and then that was a fast process, and afterwards there was this vibe of, all right, now we did it. So what do we do now? And for me, I had the feeling of, well, great, we did it, great success. But also, I would have liked to have more of an insight of what everyone else was, what their rationale was. So I thought it would have been great if everyone, first of all, to gamify a little bit, to be unable to vote for themselves, right? Because that just creates more ambiguity. And also to, if you vote for someone, you would have to provide a rationale. And in doing that, going around the table, everyone would get the whole group intelligence collected to make a more informed decision instead of just saying, well, this guy number 5, this guy number 6. And also, I thought I would really have liked to then have another go around after everyone has heard what everyone's rationale and evaluation is, and to possibly change their mind, because that is really valuable to, everyone is coming from such diverse backgrounds and had so much, life experience, bringing it to the table, and then collecting all that, and then going over it again when it's on the table, and you have the ability, oh, actually, I didn't consider what this guy said. He picked up a totally different thing from that guy's update than I did, and actually, I think that's very valuable. So let me change my vote. So those are kind of a little bit of an thoughts that went through my head going through that the first time. Thank you.
Yeah, that's great, David. The group that I was in, we kind of did that process a little bit in the middle of achieving consensus. But I think that's awesome if for some reason you have extra time to use that time to really go through the rationale like that. That's super cool. I wonder if some people have already done that in the previous meetings. We'll go to Patrick because he can't raise his hand. I don't know what's happening there, Patrick, and then we'll go to James.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I was just thinking about 2 points to try to go in the direction of Douglas about sharing what the participants have contributed, how to share that very easily and nicely. So I am thinking to do a MindWeb mind map for this fractally stand-up meeting, named fractally stand-up meeting MindWeb mind map. And you will be able to send through a web form to a MindWeb web form your EOS account name, so more the Hive account name, because we are going with Hive for the moment. So you will put your Hive account, you will put your link to your website or your where is stored your contribution, and then you will appear into the mind map with your face, with your avatar, because I have your image. So the mind map will be like the same as EOS rant mind map, where we see the face of each guy. And if you are an hidden member into this fractally, that will point to your EOS Atomic Hub induction. And if you are not an hidden member, that will point to your Hive account, to your Hive website. So I can do this for the next time. I will prepare that in order that the people can send their contribution, and that will be archived into a nice mind map. That's an idea that I have just now, and yeah, I think that could be a good way to share. Yeah.
Thanks, Patrick. It could also be cool to display the leaderboard and the rankings too.
All the category into the mind map on the left, there will be some meta categories to explain this stand-up meeting mind map, where we will have the leaderboard made by by Gregory Wexler and Joshua, the leaderboard, and also explanation about the fractally process, maybe a link to the More Equal Animal book of Dan Larimer, a link to the other existing mind map fractally that is on gofractally.com. There is already a feature-read mind map of fractally. So I will make a link from the stand-up meeting mind map to the master one, the fractally mind map. So, and just a little note on that. When a mind map is pointing to another mind map, it is named a fractal mind map. And when a mind map is pointing to no one's, is named a standalone mind map. So fractal mind map, nothing to do with fractally, but a kind of, because it's totally fractally. So I think the mind mapping could be a nice tool to save us, to have a good memory of what we are doing, and also turn all those information into knowledge, thanks to the mind maps, because we have a lot of information spreading everywhere. And if we take all those information unified, not centralized, unified together in a mind map, that will help the brain to make a better job. So I propose that we make a votation now, 2/3+1. Who agree with that?
Yeah, maybe also make a video to just kind of show people how to do what you're talking about. Thanks, Patrick.
Yeah, it's very easy to use.
All right. Oh, sorry. We're about to close out. James, did you still have a comment, or should we just go to Jay? No? All right.
Yeah, you can just go to Jay. I was just going to comment. Actually, I'll just make a quick comment since I'm talking. David, I was just going to say it to your comment before. That is actually exactly what we did in our meeting. Was we started out and we essentially had reached consensus, but then we talked a little more and people ended up switching their votes. And so, yeah, I think that's a good way to use the second part of the meeting or the latter part of the meeting. If you still have extra time, bring up your concerns. If you even have questions or want more information about what somebody did so you can more accurately rank it, then yeah, that it's on us to bring up our questions and concerns. Yeah, that's it.
And real quick before you go, Jay Douglas has a comment in the chat. It's important to say why we value a contribution. So it solves issues we're talking about, and thanks for bringing it up. All right, Jay.
Thanks. I really enjoyed hearing David's feedback, and I hope you continue to participate, David. I think those are you're really onto some great ideas there. Also, I had a thought from just my own personal interactions with fractally as a concept is part of my motivations, I have to confess, is just I value the social, the support, the accountability, personal improvement, self-help, and things, where you could say, I have wrestling with my own, executive function priorities to get things done every week. And so there's value for me just on a personal level. And so I was thinking that, as we grow the fractals networks, that, as I have tried to go through this paper, the white paper, that there's almost like, the token rewards have real world value. But there's almost, as I'm beginning to see it, as what did you produce this week that adds value to the network? And there's almost another potential growing social category is how can we enjoy each other's company and grow value on a personal accountability, productivity, aspirations to achieve our high value standards. And so it's almost as though there could be kind of a two-token tiered system where are you participating to demonstrate how you are, building bridges, to create, to solve problems or create world peace, or are you meeting to enjoy each other's company away and we almost like a personal growth measurement standard where it's like, how successful were you in living up to the commitments that you made last week to build each other from, as we add value to each other's lives personally, we're growing the network in kind of a separate category of tokenized measurement system. And so it's a meta fractally concept that I'd like to have the fractally team kind of bounce around to see if that works into the architecture of the gamification of this adding value system of consensus. Thanks.
Yeah, that's really interesting, Jay. I would suggest maybe writing an article about it in the community, just to remind everyone, or for people who, I mean, most people in the community aren't even here. We have like 200 plus people that are in there that didn't attend the meeting today. I guess we have two more hands. I would like to hear what they have to say, and then so we'll go to Samara. You can unmute yourself, and then we'll do Atma, and Atma will be the last hand we go to today. Samara,
hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, sorry. I just wanted to give a quick little feedback about the process. This is my first time. And honestly, I didn't read very carefully the white paper, so I'm just getting to know everything. So right now, my quick feedback is that eventually down the road, and I understand why it is the way it is, because you want to encourage people to contribute. But right now, just the idea of competition versus cooperation, and if we can have mechanisms that encourage more cooperation and collective working collectively, because it seems very individualistic, this process anyways, to me. So it's just a quick feedback, and I do understand it, and it seems like it's very valuable for getting the work done and being accountable, and people bringing as much as they can to the process, but still the competitive aspect of it, I'm still not sure if I like that, but I'm still learning. So this is my first, and that's just my initial, coming in cold. So just a bit of feedback. Thank you.
Well, thank you and welcome, Samara. And shout out to Doug, because I think Doug may have invited Samara today, or they're both been paying attention. You're unmuted, Doug.
Oh yeah, Samara and I have been talking about fractally since I first met her in January, and I sort of jumped into the whole Discord and Telegram and trying to follow, and I've been talking to her over time. So I'm really just happy to see her here and appreciate her participation and her feedback, because I think that is a good point. Like this whole decentralized stuff, I mean, we're sort of like have this orientation of like for the people or something. And so we're all trying to work together, and there's a collaborative spirit, but the mechanism that we're using to establish it, I can see that there is some sort of competitiveness involved, but I don't really know exactly how to address what she's talking about. But I like the fact she brought that up.
Yeah, it's a good point. And I would mention to, when you reread the white paper, to look at the teams component and how that factors in. We haven't fully started using that yet. The Fractally team, I think, is using it. And I don't know if there's another team yet. I think people are looking at forming some teams, but that kind of changes the dynamic, and that's you're cooperating with your team as well. I don't know if it's worthwhile to be extreme about, like, I don't like centralization, I prefer decentralization. You probably need like a perfect mix of both depending on the context. And the same would probably apply to cooperation and competition. You can't just have an extreme of one or the other. In most cases, you probably need a little bit of both to get the best results, but it maybe depends on the context. So maybe just be open to a blend of the two to get the best result. Let's go to Atma, and then with that, we'll conclude the meeting.
Okay, good evening. I just wanted to quickly remind everyone that they need to make a comment under the post with the consensus in their group. I noticed there are some people haven't. I just checked a few for some reason. One was David Albion and one was Crypto, I forget the name now, Chrono Crypto. So everyone just be sure to post your consensus. Really, David, is your account name David Albion? It doesn't show in the comments on your account. I'm checking it now.
Oh, David,
anyway,
he's not.
Maybe you could double check that.
Yeah, thanks, Atma. He's not talking about the fractal contributor agreement. He's talking about the Hive post. So on the fractal contributor agreement, you're posting I agree, but you're leaving a comment on the post that I just put in the chat, the Hive post just for today's meeting, where you're confirming the consensus order of the group so that everybody gets credit.
Yes, that is what I was talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Atma, for pointing that out.
No worries. Okay. Peace and love.
All right. Well, that's going to do it. Thanks everyone for participating. Whoops, I was talking and I had already muted myself. Thank you everybody for your participation today. And I think it's awesome that we still have 25 people on, even though you could have jumped off a while ago. I think it shows your commitment to the mastermind dynamic that we have, which I think is somewhat of what Jay was alluding to a few moments ago. Looking forward to seeing you next week. Encourage you to invite at least one person to try to attend the meeting if you can. And be sure to be checking that when we post on before Tuesday or on Tuesday, the rankings and the rank and respect order, just make sure that you confirm that everything looks good, because we're still doing it manually and humans make mistakes. And there's still some data to kind of be cleaned up. We have some people that we don't even have like an EOS or a Hive account to associate them with. We might have their name, but we need to follow up. There's also some people, just some low-hanging fruit, by the way, that have they've replied to the I agree to the fractal contributor agreement, but I don't think they've joined the community or know how to do that, because that post doesn't say anything about that. So if anyone wants to, manually try to follow up with some of that low-hanging fruit, I think I might try to do it if I get a chance in the next week or two. There's some people that have agreed that haven't had a chance to participate yet, so that's kind of cool. All right, we'll see you guys next week. I'm going to play this little video and then we'll end the meeting.
Recording